Chapter 1561. Isa, have some hot stew. Mary served Orissa a bowl of stew and placed it in front of her. She then proceeded to serve another bowl to Benjamin. Ah, great. Even though Orissa wasn't very hungry, the enticing aroma stirred up her appetite. Benjamin, the children said you haven't eaten anything outside. Hurry up and have something to fill your stomach. Mary served him a generous portion of food with less stew, a gesture full of concern. All right, Madam Mary. Benjamin agreed, taking it and began to eat. Orissa glanced at someone and began to eat as well. Darius looked at them, smiling with narrowed eyes. So, you all went to the zoo and came back. Yes, I took them to see the giant pandas. Orissa looked up and replied to Darius. Then, I took them to have some blue cheese pasta. Benjamin didn't want to eat out anymore, so we came back. Darius glanced at his youngest son with a smile, still unaware of Benjamin's temperament. He's a clean freak. Is the blue cheese pasta any good? I've seen so many advertisements for it, but I've never tried it. It's delicious. I'll take you guys there another day. Orissa said, still savoring the taste. It was a pity her stomach was a bit small. Otherwise, she could have eaten a few more bowls. It's settled then. Darius cheerfully reminded Orissa. Next time you go to have blue cheese pasta, don't forget to bring me along. He wanted her to remember. Orissa smiled and nodded. Understood. Darius had a fondness for sauerkraut, and he was certain that blue cheese pasta would suit his taste. Can your stomach handle it? And you still want her to take you out to eat? Benjamin scolded Darius. He should consider his age. A food poisoning will be more than he can bear. At the very least, I'm better than you. I'm not as fussy as you are. Is there anything I haven't eaten? I can eat pickled vegetables. Can you do the same? Darius spoke with a robust and spirited tone. People from his era had tasted all sorts of things. Benjamin scoffed, teasing Darius. That was in the past, not now. You still think you're so young. Darius's beard quivered in anger. Just because you're young now doesn't mean you won't grow old one day. When that time comes, you might not even have teeth as good as mine. Isa, if he craves something to eat, you must control his diet and not let him eat it. Let him salivate, eat in front of him. Orissa couldn't help but laugh, quickly agreeing, yes, Dad. If continue eating in front of him, won't he just explode in anger? Benjamin glanced at his wife, his voice tinged with bitterness. You always side with Dad. What benefits has he given you? Orissa was at a loss for words. Can't I help even if I don't get any? Dad cherishes me. Why are you berating your wife? Only a worthless man would insult his own spouse. Darius glared at Benjamin, reprimanding him, unable to bear seeing Orissa being scolded. Orissa laughed triumphantly, her eyes narrowing with delight. She teased, this should be the benefit. If you ever want to scold me again in the future, you better think twice. Benjamin looked at the grinning Orissa and was somewhat speechless. Now, she's the most important person in the family. Was I scolding you? You make it sound as if I always bully you. He couldn't help but grumble. Orissa gave him a silly smile, shaking her head. You haven't exactly been nice to me either. Benjamin stared intently at the smug woman. Someone was backing her up, which had undoubtedly inflated her pride. Darius glanced at Benjamin, grinning. Benjamin, you must stop bullying Isa all the time. She's carrying babies in her belly. Remember, no matter what, you should be more accommodating to her. Don't always treat her the way you do at your company. What else could Benjamin do but nod in agreement? I know. Let's all eat. Don't keep scolding me whenever you catch me. Everyone at the dinner table couldn't help but burst into laughter. Come on, eat a bit more. You look so pitiful. People will think we're all bullying you. Orissa served him some food, teasing him with a playful smile. Chapter 1562. After Darius, Mary, and Edwin finished their meal, they took care of feeding the children and continued to sit with them at the dining table. Orissa had a bowl of stew followed by a bowl of rice, and she was truly satisfied. Didn't you say you weren't hungry? Yet, you're eating so much, Benjamin teased her, playfully fixing his gaze on her. Orissa glanced at him and retorted, am I not allowed to eat? Benjamin chuckled and nodded, gently coaxing her. Of course you can. There's as much as you want to eat. Would you like another bowl of stew? Orissa huffed. I'm not a pig. Won't have any more. She couldn't eat any more. Her stomach was already full. I never said you were a pig. Benjamin was both amused and exasperated, watching her get worked up. Orissa glared at him fiercely. She didn't say it outright, but her meaning was clear, especially with that conspicuous smile of hers. The children glanced at Benjamin, quite speechless. Who wouldn't get angry with such a way of speaking to a woman? Darius and the others couldn't help but laugh. You didn't say it outright, but what you just said pretty much implied it. Criticizing Issa for overeating, then asking her if she wants more. Who would still want to eat after that? Benjamin didn't pay any attention to Darius. He quickly turned to Orissa and explained, I was just joking with you earlier. Are you really upset? Orissa glanced at him, leaning back in her chair without responding. Benjamin smiled and took her bowl. Let me serve you some stew. Have a little more. I can't eat any more. I'm full. You have it. Orissa gave him a glance. This man surely knows how much I can eat. He must be doing this on purpose. All right then. Benjamin didn't serve her anymore. He simply followed her lead. The children had also finished their meal, wiped their mouths, and then slid off their chairs to play. Darius and the others followed suit, paying no attention to the couple. Orissa had eaten to her fill and was too lazy to move. Benjamin was still leisurely enjoying his meal, unhurried and composed, his every move a pleasing sight to behold. You've finished everything. Orissa noticed there were still 2 pieces of short ribs left and brought them over to Benjamin. All right, Benjamin responded, emptying the plate. Edwin assumed they were all dining out, so he didn't prepare many dishes. When he decided to add more food, he simply stir-fried a few more plates quickly. With many children in the house, there wasn't much left of each dish, but that posed no difficulty for Benjamin. Orissa sat off to the side, watching him eat with a sense of satisfaction. Benjamin. Benjamin narrowed his eyes, glanced at her, and corrected her. Call me hubby. Orissa smiled sweetly, looking at him as she said, You used to despise the food we ate, but now you seem to enjoy it quite a lot. Benjamin raised an eyebrow, chuckling lightly. Could it be the same? We weren't familiar before. Orissa clicked her tongue, teasing him, That's because you're becoming more down to earth. At that moment, he was just like any normal person. It seems I have many flaws in your eyes. Benjamin casually chatted with her while eating. Well, not too many, but not too few either. Orissa teased, Just look at you. Everyone's finished eating, and you're still taking your sweet time. Not only were you eating slowly, but you also ate so little. Considering you chewed your food thoroughly, how did you end up with a stomach ailment? Meeting her curious gaze, Benjamin let out a soft snort. It's because I don't have fixed meal times. Oh, so you're aware that you don't eat at regular times? Orissa said, her eyes twinkling with amusement as she looked at him. Benjamin glanced at her, continuing to eat, allowing her to tease him as she pleased. There's still a bowl of stew. Why don't you finish that too? Orissa noticed that he had finished all the other dishes and reminded him to finish the stew as well. I'll leave that bowl for you as a late-night snack. I won't have it. He had also eaten his fill. I might not even have any space left in my stomach for a late-night snack, so you should hurry up and drink it. There's not much left. Orissa urged him. Under her eager gaze, Benjamin still drank the bowl of stew, feeling completely full once he finished. Chapter 1563. Would you like to go to the garden or upstairs? Benjamin asked Orissa. They were the only 2 in the dining room. Orissa looked at him and replied, I would like to go to the garden. Will you join me for a walk? Of course. Benjamin, who had eaten a bit too much, thought a walk would be beneficial. He stood up and lifted her in his arms. Orissa chuckled, feeling a bit helpless. Don't always treat me like I can't take care of myself. I can walk, you don't have to carry me all the time. Upon seeing her pouting and complaining, Benjamin chuckled lightly. Are you complaining about being held? Orissa gave a sweet smile and held onto his collar. Not at all. I just want to take a walk so that I don't get used to not wanting to walk in the future. I'll carry you if you don't want to walk, Benjamin said playfully, a smile forming at the corners of his mouth. He clearly enjoyed the moment. Arissa's eyes sparkled as she laughed and said, as the months go by, my weight will keep increasing. By then, you might not even be able to lift me. Benjamin looked down at her, teasingly asking, will you weigh 200 pounds? Arissa lightly punched his chest and coquettishly replied, how can I be that fat? Gaining a few dozen pounds is already heavy enough. If she were to gain 200 pounds, she would be as round as a ball. Benjamin chuckled, no problem, even if I can't carry you, I can still carry you on my back. Arissa imagined herself heavily pregnant, being carried on his back. The image was quite comical. I doubt you can carry me, she said, lost in her own imagination. Benjamin's lips curled up in a light smile. He leaned down and kissed her face, his voice filled with affection as he said, if I can't carry you on my back, then I'll carry you in front. You can hold onto my neck, and you won't fall. Arissa chuckled, noticing that Benjamin wasn't taking her towards the wheelchair. Are you planning to carry me out like this? Benjamin raised an eyebrow and softly replied, don't you want to take a walk? Arissa's eyes lit up with surprise and delight. Are you letting me walk on my own now? Take small steps, Benjamin reminded her, instructing her not to take large strides. Arissa nodded enthusiastically and joyfully responded, understood. Benjamin carried her out of the hall, only setting her down once they reached the flat ground by the entrance. His long arm remained wrapped around her waist. Take your time. The children and Darius were playing on the bridge by the artificial lake, their laughter occasionally reaching their ears. Arissa's eyes curved into a smile as she nodded. Sure, let's head over to where the children are. Okay. Benjamin accompanied her, guiding her at a leisurely pace. It was rare for him to give permission. Arissa was impatient by nature, but she still cooperated with Benjamin, walking slowly. Darling, who called you back at the zoo? She asked, turning her head to look at Benjamin, observing his expression. A glint flashed in Benjamin's eyes as he met her gaze. Gently, he guided her to sit on a bench tucked away in a corner of the garden. It was Ethan who called, he revealed. Arissa became even more curious as there was something off about his expression when he answered the phone. At the time, he didn't say anything. Afterwards, he even accompanied them to have some blue cheese pasta before finally heading home. It didn't seem like a big deal at all. What happened? It's about you. Benjamin looked at her and decided to tell her now that she brought it up. Me, Arissa exclaimed in surprise. What could possibly involve me? Benjamin held her hand, gave it a slight squeeze, and then explained, I asked Ethan to conduct a DNA test between you and your mother. The results are out. Arissa was momentarily stunned, then thought of something. Could it be? You're not biologically related to her, Benjamin said, looking at her intently, afraid she would be upset. Arissa lowered her eyelids, feeling indescribable emotions. Recently, she found out she wasn't biologically related to Regan, and now she learned she wasn't related to her mother, Beatrice, either. There were no ripples left. She calmly accepted this revelation. She wasn't Regan's child, and she wasn't Beatrice's child either. Chapter 1564. Benjamin enveloped her in a comforting embrace, gently squeezing her arm. In the future, no matter how they treat you, handle it in your own way. You won't feel any pressure anymore. Arissa looked up at him, nestled her head against his chest, and whispered softly, before, no matter how they treated me, I never doubted that I was their child. I just felt that we were both children of Regan. Why could he be so biased? Just because his relationship with my mother broke down, I became an outsider. My mother left me, with Regan without hesitation. I never understood. Even though some classmates, parents were divorced, their parents' love for them never changed. If anything, their parents would try harder to be better to them. I envy them, they are children who are loved. You are loved too. Benjamin lowered his head and kissed her forehead. Have you forgotten? Arissa stared at him, relieved to see the tenderness in his eyes. She smiled and said, I haven't forgotten. My grandpa loved me dearly. From my childhood until the moment he left, his love for me never diminished. After their divorce, my grandpa cherished me even more, as if I were his own flesh and blood. Whenever she thought of Dominic, a surge of warmth welled up from the depths of her heart. Despite the lack of familial affection from Regan and Beatrice, she had the best grandfather in the world. Gazing at the warm smile on her face, Benjamin knew she wouldn't dwell on the matters concerning Regan and Beatrice. This realization eased his worries considerably. He ruffled her hair and said, "Old Mr. York is not bad." "Of course." Orissa laughed, her eyes squinting with pride. Whenever she mentioned Dominic, her eyes lit up significantly. Benjamin also felt relieved, a smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Dominic's affection for her was indeed genuine, even surpassing that for his own son. Wouldn't most people find that a bit odd? "Benjamin, tell me, if I'm not their biological child, why does Grandpa treat me so well? Is it truly because he likes me as a person?" Orissa didn't want to harbor any doubts, but she couldn't help but reason in her mind. Her grandfather never told her that she wasn't a child of the York family before he left. What's more, he left everything in the house to her. It was quite strange, considering Regan was his biological son. "Did old Mr. York leave you anything besides his fortune?" Benjamin stared at her intently, prompting her to recall. Orissa bit her lip, unable to remember anything, and shook her head. "No, Grandpa's departure was sudden. He only told me the safe's combination, saying that everything inside was left for me." "Do you want me to help you find your biological parents?" Benjamin had already initiated an investigation, but he still sought her opinion. Orissa blinked, feeling a bit lost and unsure if it was a good idea. What if she was a child abandoned by her parents? Finding them might lead to embarrassment for herself. On the other hand, if she wasn't abandoned, after so many years in this age of information, they should have found her by now. She sighed. "Let's not find them." Benjamin looked at her, noticing her lack of confidence, and furrowed his brow. "Are you worried they won't acknowledge you?" Orissa glanced at him, whispering, "I've never had any interaction with them since I was a child, and besides, if they wanted to find me, they should have found me by now. Perhaps they are unaware of your existence." Benjamin held her tightly. "I will discreetly investigate. If they choose not to acknowledge you, we will never speak of this matter again." Benjamin didn't want her to miss out on these familial bonds. Ever since Dominic brought her back to the York family, he not only showered her with genuine affection but also left her his entire fortune. It was indeed highly suspicious. He probably knew her origins. Orissa was surprised. "Unaware of my existence? That sounds impossible. I couldn't have just appeared out of nowhere." Chapter 1565. How could that be possible? Orissa instinctively retorted, feeling that such a possibility was almost impossible. How could a mother not know her own child? She suddenly recalled her own situation. "Wasn't I unaware of giving birth to Oliver as well? Could it be a similar case?" Benjamin seemed to be thinking along the same lines and shared his speculation. "Perhaps you were taken away or switched at birth. It's also possible that your biological mother had an accident and forgot about you." He needed to investigate further to understand the full situation. Orissa glanced at him, sighing. "Do you really think so? The chances of such a thing happening were incredibly slim, after all. Now, we need to find out where your grandfather brought you from. It could be a case of someone entrusting you to him." Benjamin had to warn her in advance about the harsh reality to avoid disappointment later. Orissa pondered it and agreed with Benjamin's reasoning. Regardless of the circumstances, they needed to investigate to uncover the truth. Why not give it a try? "Do you think Regan might know something?" Orissa looked at Benjamin. With Dominic gone, Regan might have some information. Benjamin stared at her, also puzzled. Despite knowing she wasn't Regan's child, Regan's family remained tight-lipped. Considering the assets left by Dominic, the York family wouldn't let Orissa off easily. If someone claimed that she wasn't a child of the York family and therefore couldn't inherit the assets, using this as a point of contention, she would find it hard to refute. "We can ask him." Benjamin thought it was worth a try. "But let me handle it." "Why?" Orissa looked at him, puzzled. By now, She had severed ties with the York family, so she wasn't afraid of what Regan might do. Besides, Regan was eager to mend their relationship. To prevent him from affecting you and ruining your mood, Benjamin explained, gently patting her pregnant belly. He was genuinely concerned for her safety and preferred her to stay at home and take care of herself and the baby. Orissa chuckled lightly. I'll be careful. I won't let anyone easily affect me again. I'll handle it. When I meet him, he won't dare to cause any trouble, Benjamin decisively declared, leaving no room for negotiation. Okay, Orissa nodded. She wasn't eager to see Regan anyway, so it didn't matter who asked. I'll take care of this matter for you. All you need to do is stay at home and take good care of yourself and the baby. Benjamin bent down and gently kissed her forehead, whispering a few words of advice to her. Leaning into his embrace, Orissa smiled and said, understood. She had become a treasure in the family, and everyone was worried about her. How's it going over at the company base? Have you found out anything yet? She looked up at the man's sharp jaw. The situation was grave, so she wondered how Kingsley was faring with his investigation. Benjamin gently patted her head, his voice stern as he said, they are still investigating. Kingsley and Jack found the exit, but it's in a deserted area, without surveillance or evidence. Was anything lost at the base? Was any important data compromised? She pressed on with her questions. The strangest part was that nothing happened at the base. Benjamin's brows furrowed deeply. Was someone warning me? Orissa furrowed her brows. Did this person just dig a tunnel to scare people and then leave? What are they thinking? As weird. He didn't do anything but walk around. Either he's crazy, or he wants to challenge you. Regardless of what this person intended to do, she had become somewhat curious. It was quite bizarre. However, deep down, she felt that something was amiss. Once upon a time, she too was abandoned in the desert, left to survive on her own. No matter what the other party intends to do, as long as he comes back, there will always be a time to catch him. Benjamin's eyes were intense. He already had a plan in mind. Chapter 1566. Back at the Hoffman residence in Jocasta, Jeremiah Hoffman had just arrived home. Uncle Jeremiah, you're back. Upon seeing Jeremiah, Justin immediately stepped forward and took his briefcase. Why are you a bit late today? Jeremiah glanced at him as he took off his coat. I was in a meeting. When did you get here? Well, I came in the afternoon. Justin took Jeremiah's coat, diligently putting it away. These were tasks originally meant for the butler, but Justin took over. Jeremiah followed his gaze and asked the butler on the side, did he say anything when he arrived? Mr. Justin didn't say much. He simply mentioned that he missed you. Upon his arrival, he strolled around the courtyard. He even cooked dinner tonight. Mr. Hoffman, he had been busy the whole afternoon preparing your favorite dishes. Should we have dinner now? The butler reported to Jeremiah with a smile, not sensing any particular issue with Justin's visit. With a smile, Jeremiah headed toward the dining room. Let's eat first. Justin, put your things away and come eat. Jeremiah called out from the study, urging Justin to hurry up. Okay, I'm coming. Justin rushed out of the study and even managed to pull out a chair for Jeremiah before sitting down. Uncle Jeremiah, please sit down. You've come home so late, you must be hungry. Try this. Jeremiah was pleased. As long as this kid was around, there was never a dull moment at home. Don't just focus on me. Sit down and let's eat together. Arthur, bring out the wine. Justin and I will have a couple of drinks. Jeremiah turned and ordered the butler. Yes, Mr. Hoffman. Upon seeing his employer in high spirits, Arthur hurriedly went to fetch the wine. It was a rare occasion for Justin to visit, and it certainly delighted Jeremiah. Uncle Jeremiah, let's eat something first to fill our stomachs before we drink. Otherwise, it's easy to upset the stomach. Justin served Jeremiah some more food before he began to eat. Jeremiah nodded and took a few bites. Glancing at Justin, who was enjoying his meal, he withdrew his gaze and focused on his food. When Arthur brought the wine, Justin and Jeremiah had a couple of drinks. Only then did Jeremiah ask about Justin's recent life. Having trouble in Delmore, Jeremiah understood his nephew well. Justin wouldn't come here without a reason, let alone prepare dinner for him. Uncle Jeremiah, Justin glanced at Jeremiah. Nothing's wrong. Just the usual. After taking a sip of his wine, Jeremiah asked, nothing's wrong. What happened to your house? Jeremiah had been busy lately and hadn't inquired promptly after learning that Justin was fine. Now that Justin had come, he wanted to know what happened. Speaking of this, Justin was filled with indignation. I don't know who did it, but they were ruthless. Thankfully, I wasn't inside, otherwise I would have lost my life. Jeremiah's brows furrowed tightly. Have you found out who did it? That's the strange part. I can't figure out who did it. Justin was still annoyed. After several days of investigation, there were no results. He had to come here and seek Jeremiah's help. Jeremiah fell into contemplation, staring at Justin. He reminded him, have you offended anyone recently? Justin blinked in astonishment, staring at Jeremiah. Uncle Jeremiah, are you referring to Benjamin? But I've checked, it doesn't seem like something he would do. Benjamin always dealt with him openly. HMPH. What do you mean by, doesn't seem like it? It either is or isn't. Be precise in your actions. He became serious. I will handle this matter for you. Be careful. Don't return to Delmore for now. Stay here for a while. Thank you, Uncle Jeremiah. Justin's eyes lit up. As long as his uncle stepped in, he wasn't afraid they wouldn't be able to catch the culprit. At that moment, Jeremiah made a phone call, instructing his people to investigate the matter. Uncle Jeremiah, won't this cause you trouble? Perhaps. I should handle it myself, Justin suggested, knowing that Jeremiah's line of work might not be suitable for his direct involvement. Jeremiah gestured with his hand. It's a small matter. It won't trouble me. My resources make it easier to investigate. Don't worry about it. Chapter 1567. On the third day, Regan received a call from Benjamin, which was actually from Ethan. He was overjoyed and couldn't contain his excitement. Without wasting a moment, he immediately drove to Graham Group to find Benjamin. Regan's face was beaming with joy, as he believed that Benjamin was going to help him. Everyone who passed by could clearly see the happiness radiating from him. Who is this person? I often see him at the office, getting in Mr. Graham's way. After the receptionist had registered him, she started gossiping as soon as Regan entered the elevator. Don't you know, I heard he's Mrs. Graham's father, who treated her poorly. That's why Mr. Graham doesn't really like him. Someone who knew a bit about the situation explained it to the others. How did he get in today then? I just called Mr. Frank, who gave him permission. Who knows? Maybe Mr. Graham is up to something. Just because he's here doesn't necessarily mean it's for something good. The person smirked. Just wait and see, someone's about to be humiliated very soon. Regan smoothly made his way to the top floor. He had rarely visited Graham Group, and even during his previous trips, he had only been on the lower floors. Today was the first time he could experience the grand and luxurious interior of Graham Group firsthand, and he was in awe. Thinking about Benjamin as his son-in-law, Regan was filled with pride. The elevator doors slid open, and Ethan was already waiting at the entrance. Upon seeing Regan, he skipped the pleasantries. Mr. York, please come this way. Mr. Graham is still in a meeting, so could you please wait for a moment? Ethan led Regan to a small reception room by the side. Right, I understand, Regan responded, surveying his surroundings. As Ethan turned to leave, he hastily asked, do you know why Benjamin wants to see me? Ethan's gaze deepened as he earnestly replied, I'm not sure. He will explain it to you later. Regan sure had a thick skin. Does he really think Mr. Graham has summoned him for something good? He's in for a surprise. Oh, all right. Faced with Ethan's cold attitude, Regan didn't dare to ask any more questions. He walked to the side and sat down on a nearby couch. After Ethan left, he returned shortly with a glass of water. This was simply a common courtesy extended to guests, and not any special treatment intended for Regan. Ethan set down the water and suggested indifferently, Mr. York, please have a drink. Without waiting for a response from Regan, he left. Once outside, Ethan observed Regan's movements from his own office. Regan sat there, looking around. Occasionally rubbing his hands together, he showed signs of nervousness. That's how it should be. As time passed, Regan saw no sign of Benjamin coming to see him, and a slow unease began to settle in his heart. What on earth did Benjamin call me here for? Did they invite me here just to ignore me? Or is Benjamin too busy to meet me? Originally, Benjamin intended to make Regan wait a bit longer. However, he soon received a call from Orissa. Benjamin, have you seen him today? Orissa was also eager to know the result. Unable to wait at home, she called Benjamin. Not yet, but I've already called him over. He's currently in the reception room, Benjamin truthfully reported, then immediately began to show concern for her. Did you take the dietary supplement this morning? Not yet. Orissa hesitated. Of the dietary supplement. She didn't particularly like the taste. Then you should hurry up and take it now. Are you upstairs or downstairs? Benjamin asked, while simultaneously pulling up the surveillance feed from his home. I was sunbathing in the garden. I'll take it later. Orissa's lips curled into a grin. Upon switching to the feed of the garden, Benjamin immediately caught sight of her smiling face, and his eyes softened. I'll have Edwin bring it over to you. You should take it before mealtime. Otherwise, you won't have enough room for a proper meal. Chapter 1568. I'll go in and bring them drinks in a bit. There's no need to bother Edwin. He still has to prepare lunch. Orissa reluctantly agreed, hoping to prevent Benjamin from giving more instructions to Edwin. Although she agreed verbally, she remained seated on the bench, enjoying the warmth of the sun. Benjamin observed her playful behavior, a smile forming on his lips. Then you should go inside now. Orissa's eyes widened, a slight twitch at the corner of her mouth. Whether I go inside or not, he really has no idea. However, as she raised her hand, she suddenly noticed the surveillance camera on the lamppost and was taken aback. Could he have been watching the surveillance footage? When Benjamin met her gaze, his smile widened. This woman, with her bewildered expression, is truly adorable. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and take the dietary supplement. He urged affectionately. The gentle voice echoed through the phone, reaching Orissa's ears. Its deep, magnetic quality caused a tingling sensation in her eardrums that spread all the way to her heart. It was incredibly captivating. Orissa, staring at the surveillance camera, asked, "Are you watching the camera?" Although she had already guessed it, she still wanted to hear him admit it. "Yes, I'm watching you." Benjamin's voice was soft and filled with delight. Orissa sighed, lecturing him, "Benjamin, isn't this inappropriate? Not only are you not focused on your work, but you're also secretly watching me. What if someone saw you? Wouldn't you be embarrassed as the CEO? Aren't you afraid of becoming a laughingstock? What's wrong with looking at my wife? Who would dare mock me?" Benjamin was very arrogant, not caring in the slightest. Orissa chuckled, agreeing, "Indeed, no one dares to laugh at you. Now, turn off the surveillance feed quickly and get to work. I'm curious about what Regan has to say. Once you take your dietary supplements, I'll call him in for questioning." Benjamin laid out his terms. Orissa didn't know what to do with him. Even after calling Regan over, Benjamin still hadn't questioned him. Thinking of Benjamin's deliberate plan, she didn't say anything, only responding, "Fine. I'm going inside now, all right. Take the dietary supplement," Benjamin emphasized once again, leaving her with no room to avoid it. "I know," Orissa replied as she stood up and made her way back to the house. Under Benjamin's watchful eye, she dared not walk too fast. Upon seeing her silhouette disappear into the room and hearing Orissa instruct the housekeeper to bring her the dietary supplement, Benjamin finally felt at ease. He then turned off the surveillance feed and pressed the intercom. "Call Regan in." "Yes, Mr. Graham." Upon receiving the order, Ethan immediately headed towards the reception room. "Mr. York, Mr. Graham is ready to see you now." Regan's face relaxed as he quickly followed Ethan to Benjamin's office. "Mr. Graham, he's here." Ethan led Regan inside, exchanged a few words with Benjamin, and exited, making sure to close the door behind him. "Benjamin," Regan greeted him in a somewhat ingratiating manner. Benjamin's eyes narrowed sharply. Regan began to grow nervous, his anxiety escalating in Benjamin's presence. Benjamin stood up, walked around the desk, and made his way towards the couch on the side. "Sit," Benjamin invited and promptly took a seat, exuding an aura of dominance. The powerful aura weighed down on Regan, causing him to swallow nervously. He stole a few glances at Benjamin before cautiously taking a seat. Compared to Benjamin's unrestrained demeanor, he sat more like a reprimanded child, his posture rigid and restrained. "Mr. York, there's no need to be nervous. I called you here today simply to discuss something with you." Benjamin's gaze fell directly onto Regan, making him somewhat suffocated. "Didn't Benjamin call me over to help me?" A sense of disappointment instantly welled up in Regan's heart. Regan swallowed with difficulty before hesitantly asking, "What's the matter?" Benjamin stared at him intently, not uttering a word until Regan's unease became increasingly apparent. Only then did his thin lips slightly part. "Whose daughter is Arisa exactly?" Chapter 1569. Regan stared at Benjamin in complete shock, his eyes filled with panic and confusion. How did Benjamin find out? He's not asking if Isa is my daughter, but rather, whose daughter Isa really is. This means he already knows that Isa is not my biological daughter. "Isa is my daughter. Don't believe the nonsense others are saying," Regan replied, trying to appear calm. From the change in his behavior, Benjamin had firmly established the truth and let out a snort. He threw a report directly at Regan, his voice cold. "This is the DNA test report between you and my wife. You two are not related by blood." Regan wanted to argue, but he couldn't. He hadn't expected Benjamin to have done a paternity test. "Isa is my daughter, no matter what you've done." Regan's brows furrowed deeply as he refused to admit anything. Benjamin's eyes narrowed. If he hadn't known about Regan's treatment of Arisa, he might have been somewhat moved. "You're only acknowledging her now because you see her as beneficial to you and hope to gain advantages from her. If you truly considered her your daughter, you should have protected her, cherished her, and loved her when she needed a father's love. Instead, you joined others in bullying her, mistreating her, and even hiring a hitman to kill her." "I didn't." Regan looked away, aware of his lack of conviction. "I didn't hire anyone to kill her. I didn't intend to kill Isa. I was just foolishly influenced by Heather's words. It was all her scheme. I won't argue with you about these matters. You should be very clear about how you truly feel about her," Benjamin coldly rebuked. "Just because she is not your biological daughter and old Mr. York left his estate to her, all of you are jealous, harboring hatred for her, and pushing her into a corner with no way out." The mention of Dominic caused anger to rise on Regan's face as he indignantly retorted, "I have a share in the old man's estate too. If everything is left to her, how is our family supposed to survive? Shouldn't I fight for it? She's bound to get married eventually, so she might as well give it to me." Benjamin chuckled lightly. Old Mr. York has the right to manage his own property, all of which was legally notarized. All of you wanted to take control simply because she was alone and defenseless. So, you plotted to kill her, hoping to inherit her wealth. Regan's face shifted between anger and embarrassment as Benjamin's words hit him. "What do you want exactly?" he demanded. Benjamin raised an eyebrow, casually brushing off the non-existent dust from his lap. He said nonchalantly, "I just want to know whose daughter she is. Once you tell me, we can discuss everything else." Despite Benjamin's gentle tone, Regan sensed the hidden threat in his words. After all, as an experienced businessman, Regan could certainly distinguish between flattery and criticism. If he remained silent, it was uncertain how Benjamin would deal with him next. "I don't know," Regan said angrily. Benjamin narrowed his eyes, his gaze piercingly sharp as it focused on Regan. "Mr. York, was I not clear, or did you not listen carefully? I'm not as patient as Isa. I really don't know." Regan looked at Benjamin. Seeing Benjamin's skepticism, he quickly explained, "Dad never told us, even until his death, who Isa's parents were or where he had brought her from. He even insisted that no one should know she wasn't my biological daughter. If anyone dared to reveal this, he would come back from the grave just to reprimand us. Not only was Regan fond of money, but he was also superstitious. He dared not defy Dominic's warnings. After he brought Issa back, he also started a company with a large sum of money. He never told us where the money came from and wouldn't let us ask. He would get upset if I did. Regan was still puzzled to this day, sometimes even suspecting that Arissa was Dominic's biological child. That's all I know. He glanced at Benjamin, not daring to voice the absurd suspicion that lingered in his heart. Chapter 1570. Benjamin fixed Regan with a piercing gaze, sending chills down his spine. Everything I've said is true, actually. Regan glanced at Benjamin. I want to know, more than anyone else, who Issa's parents are. Afraid that Benjamin wouldn't believe him, Regan mustered up the courage to reveal the speculation he had been harboring. Dad treated Issa as if she were his own granddaughter, showing more affection for her than any of us. Sometimes, I wondered if she could be his illegitimate daughter from an affair. Otherwise, what secrets could there be that we aren't privy to? Benjamin stared at Regan incredulously, dismissing the preposterous idea. It seems he truly doesn't know. If Arissa really was Dominic's daughter, was it necessary to label her as his granddaughter? Without a doubt, she's definitely a member of the generation younger than Regan. You may leave now. Benjamin coldly dismissed Regan, his hostility evident. He had no desire to see him again. Regan shuddered at Benjamin's gloomy face. He didn't dare to meet Benjamin's intimidating gaze. His mouth twitched helplessly, and he quickly departed without saying anything. It wasn't until he entered the elevator and reached the ground floor that he began to regain his composure. Benjamin summoned me today not to help me, but to investigate Issa's identity. Regan furrowed his brows tightly as he walked toward the door, his face filled with dejection, a stark contrast to the beaming smile he had when he first arrived. The receptionist who had won the bet couldn't help but gloat, casting triumphant glances at her colleagues. See, I was right, wasn't I? You're truly impressive. Your foresight is remarkable. Her colleagues expressed their admiration one after another. However, I'm still very curious. Who is Mr. Graham's wife? There's no doubt about it. It's definitely Miss York. Didn't you see Mr. Graham and Miss York holding hands? It's only a matter of time before they get together. But they aren't married yet, are they? Besides, I heard that Miss York already has a child. What's wrong with having children? After all, Mr. Graham has children too. They make a great couple. That's true, they both have children, so they are indeed quite compatible. Neither can find fault with the other. Mr. Graham might be wealthy, but Miss York has done well for herself being a beauty with brains. She's someone many would die for. Well, look at how proud everyone in your department is of her. Who knows, when she returns to the office, she might no longer be working in your department anymore. Where else could she work if not in our department? The colleague from the IT department was indignant. Arissa was part of their department, and she was merely on temporary sick leave. When she returned, he would undoubtedly still be part of their department. Which department do you think Mr. Graham's wife will be in? Do you think you can compete with Mrs. Graham? That doesn't necessarily mean she'll always be glued to Mr. Graham, right? They don't have to be together all the time at work. The IT department still believed that Arissa wouldn't abandon them. Wait and see. Mr. Graham, the receptionist, sharp-eyed, immediately greeted Benjamin loudly. Benjamin strode purposefully toward the entrance. As others noticed him, they frantically greeted, "Good day, Mr. Graham. Our luck is truly terrible. Did Mr. Graham hear us gossiping just now?" Benjamin had already walked a few steps away when he turned around and walked back toward them. Everyone was inwardly panicking, yet they maintained a calm facade. Will Mr. Graham fire us? Miss York will still be on leave for a while. If the IT department can handle all the work internally, then do so. If not, let Ethan deal with it. Having uttered these few words, Benjamin then departed. It was only after Benjamin's car had left the company that they, along with the receptionist, dared to breathe a sigh of relief. The receptionist's knees buckled as she collapsed onto the counter, the horror on her face yet to dissipate. Another person was clutching his chest, exclaiming, "Oh my, That was terrifying. Thank goodness Mr. Graham didn't lose his temper. I thought he was going to fire us, a colleague from the IT department said, patting his chest from the trauma. Everyone felt as though they had narrowly escaped death and didn't dare to continue gossiping. Hence, they quickly dispersed.